Welcome to the kill-death ratio, where I count all my kills and all my deaths. Today, I'm playing A Plague Tale Innocence. Released in 2019 by Asobo Studios, we follow 15-year-old Amicia de Rune and her 5-year-old brother Hugo in Aquitaine, France during the early years of the 100-Year War and the bubonic plague. The French Inquisition pursues them, more specifically Hugo, so it's up to Amicia to protect him using her sling and limited resources we find along the way. I can't believe it took me so long to play this because stealth games are my jam, and A Plague Tale puts that mechanic at the forefront of this emotional, narrative-driven game. How many bodies do I add to the constant death we see throughout? Let's start playing and find out. There's no difficulty setting, so we join Amicia, her father Robert, and good boy Leon in 1348 within a forest beyond her noble family's estate. We learn that Amicia hardly ever sees her mom and brother as she's busy treating a mysterious illness affecting Hugo. Then we get an introduction to the sling mechanics by knocking apples off the tree, and once we're finished, Leon starts growling and then gets the zoomies and takes off. Amicia begins chasing her dog as the music kicks in, which perfectly accompanies the mood and atmosphere of the game. Composed by Olivier Derivier and his small team, it was designed to work dynamically with what the player is experiencing and was certainly a highlight of the game for me. We catch up with Leon to find a wild boar peacefully minding its business, which means it's time to kill it. I get too close and alert it, but it doesn't run far, so I track it and nail it in the head with a rock from my sling. It gets up and scampers off, triggering Leon's prey drive and runs after it. I follow to find the boar half eaten, and just beyond that, I discover my dog stuck in a sketchy looking hole. I hope that's the first and only time I have to say that. Suddenly, Leon is swallowed up and we get the title card. We arrive back at Chateau de Rune and explore my home, trying to find Amicia's mother Beatrice and her brother while her dad organizes a hunt to find out what killed the dog. After passing by and talking to several of her family's servants, we find her mom, who is quick to brush her aside because she hears a racket outside. She tells me to go find Hugo, promising Amicia that he isn't contagious and to stay hidden. I find him, but we hear strangers right outside asking for Hugo and watch as their dad is killed for not giving him up. They begin searching the house, starting a long intense sequence where we watch the help get brutally slaughtered by the Inquisition while Amicia has to protect Hugo and keep him from crying for his mom, which he does constantly. Mommy. Eventually we're caught, but Beatrice's head game is strong. She has us follow her until we can escape the estate, but before we can make our getaway, the Inquisition shows up, forcing Beatrice to send Amicia and Hugo out in search of a doctor named Laurentius, who has assisted in Hugo's treatments. She shuts the door, closing her kids out when a bloody sword impales the door, nearly hitting Amicia. That begins a chase sequence with the Inquisition nipping at our heels while the ground inexplicably erupts all around us. We jump into the river and eventually arrive at a nearby town that looks abandoned, but the townsfolk are just shy. Exploring the town reveals that it's filled with plague-ridden citizens, which causes Amicia to scold Hugo for being so nonchalant about their situation. We follow the noise to find the villagers burning and killing anyone they deem responsible for the outbreak, being led by this meathead Conrad Marfort. We swap the Inquisition with paranoid villagers and continue running for our lives until we hit a dead end and this kind old lady ushers us inside. She offers us a change of clothes and points us towards some local monks that may know where we can find Laurentius. After upgrading my sling, we eavesdrop as the angry villagers can be heard right outside the house, but Hugo don't give a shit because he's over here beating on wood with a mallet for no fucking reason at all.
Are you stupid or what? I am stupid!
Yeah, that's what I said, little bro.
I want to see Mommy is dead, Hugo!
Hugo can't handle the truth and takes off, forcing Amicia to chase after him and earn her first kill, which traumatizes her. Hugo continues running like an asshole until I come face to face with Conrad again, this time decked out in armor. Using my sling, I knock his armor off piece by piece, but in the process I die twice getting used to the dodge mechanic. Finally, I knock his helmet off and end Conrad's rampage, satisfying Hugo's lust for death and giving Amicia a hug in return. We sprint into a nearby church and light a candle in memory of our deceased parents. Amicia and Hugo earned a chill session in the church where they pray and ask for forgiveness for their sins. Amicia, voiced by Charlotte McBurney, took on her first professional role in a really impressive performance that sold the fear and stress Amicia experiences throughout their adventure. Her little brother was voiced by Logan Hannon, who was equally impressive as he convincingly made Hugo into an innocent young child that doesn't really understand what's happening and why. Both actors participated in the writing process in order to make the dialogue more realistic to the age of these characters, which absolutely helped sell the youthfulness of our two heroes. Eventually, we climb out of the church where a monk attempts to wave us away. Instead, we go straight to him, but not before Hugo picks a carnation and sticks it in my hair. Father Thomas warns us that we'll die if we don't leave the church immediately, but because the villagers are also trying to kill us, he agrees to escort us to a safe exit. He hands us the torch as he saunters off to find his last remaining colleague. Hugo's tinnitus begins ringing, blowing out the lights and bringing thousands of rats into the chamber. Before Amicia can hand Father Thomas the torch, the rats consume him, leaving the two siblings there alone. If you have mosophobia, this definitely isn't the game for you, as Asobo Studio was able to animate up to 5,000 plague-spreading rats on screen at once. I'm going to do my best to count the rats accurately, but in some cases there are far too many to count correctly, so I'll be counting those instances as large groups instead of individually. I'll also be counting the rat kills separately from anything else, as there is an absurd amount in this game that's far too difficult to count 100%. Using the fire from my torch, I incinerate 13 rats before hitting a roadblock. Looking up, I knock a brazier down and kill what looked like another 8 rats before continuing on, where we need to split up to get through, and once Hugo hands me the torch, I add 3 more rats and climb into the next spot, where we hear a crashing sound and Hugo's cry for help. There's a ton more rats to contend with here. I counted another 84 before leading Hugo directly into their fucking nest. At this point, I begin to avoid killing rats as much as possible, because I realize how much of a pain in the dick they'll be to count, but I still add 3 more here. We see the light at the end of the tunnel and run right at it while rats cave the walls in trying to get some French cuisine. We collapse outside in the safety of the sun when Hugo says,
I want to see Mommy.
And after that whole ordeal, I'll let you see the mummy, kid. Hugo wasn't quite ready for that and faints in Amicia's arms. Sometime later, we continue our journey to Laurentius until we come across more of the Inquisition. Using stealth and distraction techniques, we slip by them, except for this bastard who sees us. I attempt to sprint by everybody in a panic and earn my 3rd death of the game. The second time, I succeed in bypassing the Inquisitors and add another kill to the count before they decide to fall back in fear of my sling. Hugo's head starts ringing again, so Amicia carries him on her back until we find ourselves outside of Laurentius's place, but many rats stand between us and his house. In order to pass, we need to eliminate the 70 rats I counted here by crushing them with barrels and pigs. I add another 5 more before we enter the relative safety of the house. Why the hell are we entering someone else's house like we're in Pokemon? People are trying to kill us and we just barge in like we own the place. Thankfully, Laurentius and his apprentice Asa Butterfield are home, but Laurentius caught the Black Death. He informs us that some ancient evil flows through their family's blood and that Amicia needs to stop it. The only thing she's interested in stopping, however, is Hugo's clinginess.
Leave me alone.
Laurentius tells us to get to Chateau with Lucas, but before we leave, he needs to finish some work in the barn that's been overrun by rats. In order to lure the rats away from the cellar doors, we pull food into the barn and trap the last living pig inside with it. I knock out the lights despite Hugo's protest and add the poor pig to the count, then head down into the cellar where Lucas teaches us some alchemy and we add ignifer to our inventory. We promptly get a chance to test it out and create pathways back to the house. Once outside, the rats overrun the home, setting it on fire and presumably killing Laurentius inside. The horse says fuck this and runs away, igniting a path out of here. Lucas paddles us down the river and tells us about the prima macula, a corruption that travels in the blood of certain families that impacts its host and the world around them. We go ashore and set out on foot to follow the aqueduct to Chateau d'Ambrage. Further down the path, Hugo finds the shield of an English soldier. Amicia appears concerned, and for good reason, because just over the hill is a horrifying sight. Hundreds of English and French soldiers lie dead in the aftermath of battle. We're not finished seeing traumatizing shit yet, because we watch as rats spill out of this horse and onto the battlefield. Nearby are a couple looters who turn tail as soon as they spot us, and they're not the only ones left because the English have won this battle and patrol the area. I destroy his lantern, giving the rats a path to him. We progress through the graveyard and add another 2 Englishmen to the count, then take shelter in the structure to find a trapped soldier at the end of the path. Amicia takes the torch and we slowly walk towards him, pushing the rats closer and closer while he panics and pleads for our help. Amicia tells him sorry and we make the final step in his direction, forcing the rats on top of him and adding him to the count as well. Right after that disturbing scene, Lucas gives us a new item called somnum, which is sleep in Latin. It takes a lot of resources to craft, but allows us to put this guy in a permanent sleep. Shh, it's okay. We're finally close to the... what's it called again, Hugo?
Ackyduck.
Yeah, that's right. I add 5 more rats and then run after the cart, but Lucas gets a case of the brain dead and decides to chill with the rats, I guess. I add another soldier and 10 rats to the count before continuing forward where a few soldiers reside. I failed this part 3 times by my stupidity, but right before I died, I killed a soldier using the somnum twice. Finally, I decided to just use the somnum on the lone fucker blocking our path, and once we pass, we spot the looters from earlier being questioned by a soldier. We attempt to pass behind him, but they use us as a distraction and knock him out. We run after the looters, but Hugo eats shit and gets Amicia caught. We wake up in a cage being told they are holding us for ransom, but soon after he leaves, one of the looters frees us. We're introduced to Melly and her brother Arthur, who help us escape the English camp. Eventually, we free Hugo and I kill 3 more soldiers on our way out. We approach the main gate right as it opens for the Inquisition. Arthur temporarily blocks their path using an explosive barrel, but 2 soldiers begin running at us. Amicia somehow misses despite being locked in, giving me my 7th death of the game. I reload and kill the 2 men, then take out an archer before getting murked yet again by the Brits. I kill those 2, then add another 2 right before we escape. Amicia takes cover under some corpses while archers rain arrows down until Arthur takes them out using another explosive, allowing Melly, Hugo, and Amicia to run away. Melly leads us to their hideout, giving us a place to rest. In the middle of the night, we hear voices above us. We slink out and Melly gives us another useful item called Deverantis that burns steel, allowing me to use it on helmeted foes and giving me the chance to bash their head with a rock. I add 2 more Inquisitors and spot a captive Lucas. I free him using the power of rock, increasing my count by 1, and follow the path until a large pack of rats prevents us from advancing. This is one of those instances where it's nearly impossible to count every rat here. Using another new weapon courtesy of Lucas, I wipe all of them out using Luminosa. After a while, we reach Chateau d'Ombrage, but the rats beat us here. We take care to light all the fires possible and drive the rats out, killing 33 of them in the process. Finally, we drive all the rats into a single pit, making the castle safe to traverse. The next morning, Hugo awakens Amicia so we can explore the castle. We can see the macula continuing to spread, so Lucas advises us on a way to possibly slow it down. He needs a book called the Sanguinis Itinera that's held in the university in town. Melly volunteers to accompany Amicia there so she can sneak into the university and find the book while Melly locates her brother. She picks the lock and wishes me luck as we part ways. I enter the city alone and get a gorgeous view of a town that showcases the developer's attention to detail. Exploring this city feels like you're actually in the Middle Ages, and that's in large part due to the location of a Sobo studio in Bordeaux, France, where they have numerous old buildings to draw inspiration from. I move forward onto the streets and add 6 members of the Inquisition and 7 more rats to the count. We take cover and watch as the Inquisition shows off something called odorous that attracts nearby rats with mention of episanguis and its value to their cause. Once they leave, we obtain some of that material and add another important item to our arsenal that allows us to temporarily distract rats so we can pass them without light. I kill 1 measly rat before jumping into a corpse party and killing 9 more Inquisitors responsible for the massacre and another large pack of rats that I can't possibly count. Finally, we find the university and enter through a side door with 1 piece of advice in mind given by Lucas.
The path is strewn with roses.
I sneak my way through the building, following the roses and adding a lone guard to the count until I come up on a balcony and listen in as the Inquisition admits they're searching for the Sanguinis Itinera 2. In the following room, I use the light beam to guide the rats, killing 8 of them and encourage them to consume one of the men standing guard when his pal talks some shit.
You thought you were so smart.
You know who is smart? Amicia, because she uses odorous to kill your bitch ass. I kill another couple guys and some more rats before a cutscene begins showing us the main antagonist. Grand Inquisitor Vitalis Benevent is suffering from the plague and uses the episanguis to keep the sickness at bay while they continue to hunt down Hugo and the Sanguinis Itinera. Damn, it's that good, huh? They bring in Roderick, the son of a smith and the only one that can help the Inquisition find the book. They lead him in that direction, which necessitates following them so we can locate the door as well. Once there, I break the chain holding the chandelier, crushing the guy below it, while Roderick beats on the other dude. I die twice here, allowing me to get the same kill a total of 3 times while adding another 3 to my total. Roderick opens the door, initiating another brief chase. We lose them and enter the library housing the book, but we need to solve a puzzle to get to it. The Inquisition and their grand asshole arrive with those creepy vibes.
I have watched you grow up.
Yeah, and with that we're out of here. With Roderick at our side, I can send him after big unaware guards to eliminate them. I won't add them to the count since it's Roderick getting the kill and, in his words,
But I'm starting to like it.
I'll let you keep those kills, big guy. I make a mistake alerting them to my location and use Somnum to take one out before being killed. I reload, and with Roderick's help, I increase my kill total by 5 before busting into this burning building to make our escape. We arrive back at Chateau d'Ombrage and give the book to Lucas. I fast forward a bit and wander the castle a while until Lucas calls for Amicia. We rush after him to find the macula spreading faster in Hugo's blood. We agree to go back to Amicia's home to look through her mother's equipment, but before we go, Melly comes back with her brother Arthur in tow. He comes with a little bit of good news and a little bit of bad news. Good news is Beatrice is still alive. Bad news is the Inquisition is holding her captive and torturing her. Amicia believes that information should be kept from Hugo to protect him, but I think it's because she doesn't want to hear him ask for mummy a million fucking times. After listening in, he screams, and when the others rush up the stairs, they find him seizing on the ground, prompting Amicia and Lucas to make their leave to the De Rune estate. As we approach my home, we can see clearly that rats have overrun the place. I kill an unknown amount using this cart we'll simply add as another pack of rats, then cremate 22 of them with the light beam. We locate a couple guards that are barely hanging on, and since they ruined my life, I'll go ahead and take theirs.
He got what he deserved.
Damn right they did, Amicia. We come up on Robert De Rune's body, but there's no time to mourn as a bunch of rats emerge from the nest and tornado right into the fire and extinguish it. What the fuck? The rats learned some new moves, forcing me to use Ignifer to break them up and adding a new type of rat congregation to the count. I had another 12 rats using a torch before entering Beatrice's quarters, but there's nothing of value here. Even though it hasn't been invented yet, a light bulb goes off and Amicia says her mom told her to stay away from some Roman ruins on their property, leading Lucas to believe she hid her laboratory there. On our way, I add a few more rodents, 11 more rat tornadoes, and another grouping of rats I evaporate with the Luminosa. I may have also gotten Lucas killed once, but it's whatever, he's fine. Once inside the Roman structure, I climb down into the rat nest in order to find some basins that will illuminate symbols up by Lucas. I kill 31 more rats, and then enter Mom's lab that's quickly raided by our furry foes, making Lucas's job a bit more difficult. I kill more individual rats and even more rat clusters during this whole ordeal, and as soon as Lucas adds the final drop, the rats stop to applaud and let us through. We make it back to the castle and force the elixir down Hugo's gullet. He asks Amicia about their mom, knowing damn well she's alive and being questioned. They go to sleep and in the morning wake up to Hugo missing. Amicia recklessly runs out in search of him, knocking herself out and experiencing a trippy fucking dream. Thankfully it doesn't last long and she wakes up to Hugo's pleas for help. I kill one of his captors, but the other one escapes my sling for my 12th death. I reload and kill those two and free my brother yet again, but then he thinks he hears our mom's yells and breaks off to follow them. I pursue him down into this tunnel and Jesus fuck, what in the hell is happening? Amicia is consumed by rats while Hugo is led away by Lord Nicholas. We cut away from that fever dream to join Hugo and find out he turned himself into the Inquisition so he could find
Mommy.
He sees a rat and follows it, and it's here we sneak our way through this entire section, getting caught just once, which isn't a death and won't be tallied. Hugo hides and listens in as we learn that Vitalis is going against the demands of the church and then injects Hugo's blood into his own while the Archbishop watches. I follow Lord Nicholas to my mother's location, but need a key to set her free. I somehow avoid killing any rats that I could see here and grab the key. After letting her out, she teaches Hugo a new trick, controlling rats so they can escape unscathed without fire. Using my newfound ability, we navigate our way through the corridors until we're eventually found out and trapped. Vitalis sends his lackeys after Mummy, forcing Hugo to use his rat bending to kill 7 guards and a couple archers. They escort Beatrice away while Vitalis claims he'll show Hugo how to control his power. We cut back to Amicia after being saved by her friends and jump forward 1 month later, showing her depressed about Hugo's prolonged absence. I go outside and meet Arthur so he can begin lighting the fires and putting braziers in their place to ward off the rats before nightfall. Tonight is different, however, as the rats invade and start extinguishing our fires. I add 16 clusters to the count while getting myself trapped here because I keep running out of resources to make enough Ignifer to light the brazier and eliminate the incoming rodent twisters. I attempt to sprint through the rats and fail, adding another death to my total. I kill another 6 clusters and get to safety, then assist Arthur in doing the same while increasing my rat count by another 2 clusters. The kids debate leaving the castle behind when the door is broken down. Nobody expects the Wait, Hugo? What the fuck, little bro? We run away, but Lord Nicholas catches up and backhands Arthur and then strikes Amicia. He tells Hugo to kill his sister, otherwise he'll kill Mummy. I slowly back up and get caught on something that enrages Nicholas enough to increase my death count. Eventually, he gets tired of waiting for Hugo and shoves him aside to take matters into his own hands, but Arthur comes in from the top rope with some rocks, saving Amicia from his sword. Arthur goes to make sure that fool is dead, while Amicia tries to calm Hugo down, but he begins yelling about her lies, prompting Arthur to whip around to watch the drama unfold. Amicia rushes Hugo to attempt to simmer the fuming child and finds herself in the eye of the tornado. She succeeds in calming him, but Nicholas stands up, putting an end to Arthur and beginning a boss fight. Using a combination of Amicia's skills and Hugo's powers, we take on Lord Fucknut and feed him to the rats. Melly finds out her brother was killed and rages on, saying she wants to kill them all. Amicia is like, hell yeah girl, me too, what about you, Hugo?
I want to save Mommy.
Oh my fucking god, kid, we get it. We leave Chateau d'Ombrage behind and head to the city, beginning the finale of the game. I kill a total of 22 guards and archers while getting dropped twice, including this spear death that surprised the hell out of me. To advance, we need to push this cart so we can take cover from the archers guarding the gate. Roderick pushes Amicia aside and tells her and Hugo to stay behind it while he pushes it by himself. This part can be a little janky as the rocks miss locked on target sometimes, which forces me to use Somnum on this guy. That's followed up by an immediate death from the archers. I reload the game and eliminate the incoming Inquisition as Roderick gets pounded by arrows. He holds the gate open for us, then drops it, succumbing to his injuries and dying a hero's death that ensures the rest of us can continue on. Godspeed, Roderick. We're getting very close to Vitalis now, nearing the church he's hiding in that's being guarded by his Inquisitors. I kill the 6 right outside, then head towards the front doors when some more emerge. I died twice at the hands of some archers, but gain more kills in return as I add another 13 bodies to my kill count. We go inside and come face to face with Vitalis, who is holding Beatrice in a cage in the church that has become a nesting site for even more rats. Vitalis has been sacrificing people and whole towns in order to get here, revealing he has a rat horde of his own that isn't unaffected by light. Now begins the final fight between us and Hugo's rats versus Vitalis and his white rats. I die a total of 4 times to his rat clusters and his leaning Tower of Ratsa. Using our own rats to overwhelm his, I add another 21 rat clusters to the count, which opens him up to being hit by Amicia's sling, and after the 3rd rock to his head, Vitalis falls. As he lays there dying, Vitalis makes eye contact with Hugo, who doesn't break away, taking in the death of Mummy's kidnapper and no longer this innocent young boy. The game cuts to black as the credits start rolling, but pulling a Marvel, we have a mid-credits chapter that shows our heroes are wanted for Vitalis' death and must leave the region with Lucas and Beatrice, but without Melly, who decided to part ways with the group. They roll away on the back of the cart as we roll into the final numbers. I ended the game with 124 human kills with 1 pig kill, and a total of 23 deaths that far exceeds my previous death count record from Resident Evil 5. With a total of 125 kills and 23 deaths, that brings my kill-death ratio to 5.43. If I include my 411 rat kills, which is likely in the thousands if it was possible to count them all individually, it brings my total kill count to 536, which makes my total kill-death ratio a much better 23.3. I finished this game in 9 hours and 48 minutes, which gives us a kill on average every 1.09 minutes with rats and 4.7 minutes without them. I died on average about every 25 minutes. A Plague Tale Innocence was an amazing experience, with obvious inspiration taken from other narrative-driven games such as The Last of Us. It ultimately tells a tale of 2 naive siblings that are forced to grow up quickly, stripping the innocence from them and bonding as brother and sister during their adventure. Dominic Toretto would be proud of these 2 for sure. Next up is A Plague Tale Requiem, followed up by a couple indie games featuring this god of war or something. Hit that subscribe button for more video game kill counts, and I'll see you next time. I'm King Deschain, signing off for now.